Be sure to subscribe for more content.
What is up, ladies and gents? Welcome to the BigBC Finance Channel, and I hope you're having a very good start to the new year. So in today's video, we're going to be talking all about Solana, what has happened to it recently, and whether we think Solana has bottomed out. I'll also be giving you a bullish and bearish case scenario for the price here on Solana, so be sure to stay tuned for all of that. And of course, if you appreciate the analysis on this channel and you haven't done so already, be sure to smash the like button and subscribe to this channel for more content like this. So with that being said, let's dive straight into this video. And at the moment, we've got the one-day chart here for Solana. Of course, we're going to start with what's happened to it recently, and then we're going to move on to the discussion as to whether it's bottomed out. So what we've seen over the past few days here on Solana, if we just go on a smaller time frame, the 4-hour chart, we can see that the prices over the course of the end of 2022 did this massive selling climax here. We saw prices tumble pretty much 30-40% into the end of 2022, where prices went from around $12, $11 here down to as low as $8. On top of that as well, what we saw was as prices headed down, we saw an increase in volume there. So that's a divergence, and that is very, very bearish. It means that as the prices are going down, more people are rushing in to sell their Solana. So this is some sort of selling climax that we saw here on Solana. Of course, at Solana's darkest hour, when it was down at $8 as well, we saw a tweet from Vitalik Buterin basically showing his support for Solana. And of course, that's why we saw this massive candle here with the 2 long wicks on the 4-hour time frame, actually pumping the price of Solana up to nearly $11. So one Vitalik tweet managed to pump Solana by 20, 25, even 30%. So that was really, really cool to see. Of course, we did retrace from that, and we've been kind of consolidating into 2023. But most recently, just over the past few hours, we saw a nice pump here on Solana, nearly 20% in the upwards direction. Of course, as you can see on the top right hand side, of all the top cryptocurrencies that we do track, Solana is up by the largest amount at 11% over the past 24 hours. The next one being Trust Wallet Token at just 3.8% and XRP at 3.5%. So although the market is generally green, Solana is leading the pack. The main reason for that looks like it's down to the fact that there is a new meme coin that's been built on the Solana chain called Bonk Inu. And of course, if we have a look at this new meme coin that's come up, this is the chart for it. And since it got added to CoinGecko on December the 29th, it's pumped 600%, as you can see there, from its all-time low. So that is pretty remarkable to see. The meme coin community is still well and alive. And of course, a meme coin built on Solana pumping 600% is definitely very good for the ecosystem. And so with this very nice pump here on Solana, bringing the price into double digits again, we want to ask ourselves, do we think the bottom is really in at $8, or do we think the price into 2023 is going to head lower once again? And to answer that, we're just going to consider all the technicals here on the Solana price. And so the first thing I always look at here on the price is the price and volume relationship. Basically, when the prices are this low, do we see people accumulating Solana at these prices, or do we see more people selling the Solana at these prices? And of course, for us to be bullish here on Solana, we want to see accumulation occur. So what accumulation looks like is when prices head in this upwards direction like this, we want to see that increase in volume as prices head up. And when prices decrease, so kind of like it did back over here, what we want to see is the volume decrease. And we want to see that trend because basically as prices increase, we want to see people buying into Solana and justifying the higher prices. And when prices go down, we want to see the volume decrease because we want to know that sellers are running out on the market. Of course, if volume is increasing as the price is going down, it means that there are still sellers willing to sell into the fear, willing to sell into the panic here on Solana. So, and of course, the prices on Solana cannot sustainably go up until all the sellers are shaken out of the market. And so that is what we're really looking for, an increase in volume as the prices go up and a decrease of volume as the prices go down. And so if we analyze the price volume relationship here on Solana since the FTX crash, what you'll notice is that most times we actually do see the volume increase as prices go up. This is a good example here in this region. Basically, when the prices started heading in this upwards direction, what we do actually see is the volume also increase. So here we definitely saw a good amount of accumulation occur. Buyers were hopping in as the price was starting going up here on Solana. However, we do see an increase in volume on this drop here on Solana as well, we see quite a lot of selling pressure as prices continued to head down. Now, of course, the context here on Solana is that SBF still owns quite a lot of Solana. He held $982 million worth of Solana when FTX went bankrupt, and it is evident that he dumped some onto the markets according to the Alameda wallets, but we don't know if he's dumped all of his Solana yet or not. So of course we do see a good amount of accumulation occur again in this region. For example, we can see that the volume does actually head up with the prices going in the upwards direction, but unfortunately we see a lot of selling pressure as well again in this region here. For example, we see the volume increase as prices head down, so we are seeing accumulation, but at the moment it seems like the accumulation is not very fruitful because there's still a lot of selling pressure. Basically, people buying in at the moment are the exit liquidity for Sam Bankman-Fried, and that is why we're seeing accumulation, in my opinion, but we're also seeing a lot of sellers coming into the market as prices dip, and this is extremely evident in this region here. We saw almost a capitulation where volume massively increased as prices went down. Of course, a lot of that was down to Sam Bankman-Fried himself dumping a lot of Solana, but of course, just technically speaking, that is a bearish divergence, a downwards in price, an increase in volume, and until we see the price go down and the volume decline at the same time, then I don't think Solana is going to head up too much higher anytime soon. Of course, on top of that as well, we have to consider the whole cryptocurrency market and just the macroeconomic conditions that we find ourselves in, and to do that we generally tend to have a look at what Bitcoin is doing. Now basically my analysis here on Bitcoin is that I am still short-term bearish here on Bitcoin, because I do think we've seen this sort of pattern here, this rising wedge pattern that's defined with the two yellow trend lines, as you can see in this region here. Of course, we have seen a very convincing breakdown, as you can see with this price action there. We have consolidated within a very small trading range over the Christmas and New Year's, but I do think we're still seeing this rising wedge in play, and if it does end up hitting its price target, we should see the prices on Bitcoin dump to around 15,800. So that means, in my opinion, Bitcoin over the next few weeks is going to do something like this, where it heads ultimately down to the price target of 15,800. Now you may have noticed the larger pink lines here as well, the two large pink trend lines. That will only be noticeable on the longer time frame. So if we go on the 1-day chart here on Bitcoin, I am actually longer term bullish here on Bitcoin, because this is some sort of falling wedge. This is a bullish chart pattern, and if we do break out from this pink line here, that is going to be a bullish move, and it could set prices on Bitcoin going in the upwards direction. I do think this event as well is going to tie into the fact that we're closer to that Bitcoin halving event now, which is coming sometime in 2024. So at some point, I do think Bitcoin is going to rise in value ahead of that Bitcoin halving event, as it has done for the 2020 halving event and the 2016 halving event. I do think prices are going to head in the upwards direction at some point for that. But that is a longer term bullish price move, and in the short term I am still bearish here on Bitcoin because of this rising wedge, because we're still on a bearish trend here on Bitcoin. And by the same token, with that volume price analysis, we can see that on price declines such as this one, for example, we're seeing an increase in volume as the prices head lower. So we're seeing a bearish divergence between the volume and the price here on Bitcoin. With that pump that's happened just a few hours ago, as you can see, we're actually seeing declining volume as prices head higher. So this move in the upwards direction here on Bitcoin is not sustainable, and I do expect prices to head down on Bitcoin over the next few days because of this relationship here. So there's still a lot of sellers in the market for Bitcoin and for Solana, and of course that's going to add bearish pressure onto both cryptos, with Bitcoin heading down to at least 15,800, possibly lower, before we start seeing a long-term bullish trend on Bitcoin. I do think that's going to add a bearish bias onto Solana, and the real question is going to become whether Solana can hold this $8 level, hold at least the level of the low of 2022, which was exactly $8. And that is because, and to answer why that is, we need to go on a longer time frame here on Solana. Let me go on the 1-day chart, and if I just zoom out on the whole chart here on Solana, basically what you'll see is that at the moment we're quite close to the 0.618 fib. These Fibonacci levels are just obtained by drawing a line from the low here of Solana back at the end of 2020 to the absolute peak of Solana, and of course we get a set of levels here based on the Fibonacci numbers that could potentially tell us where we might encounter some support and resistance on the Solana price. And so after this pump here, we could expect to find some support at these fib levels as Solana price is retracing from the peak there at $260. So these are by no means perfect. They often give us some general guidance as to where we might find some support. So for example, the 0.382 fib, as you can see here by this gray line, has supported the price pretty well in this region between May and October there on Solana. So that's been pretty good to see. Of course, now after the FTX crash, we did crash below the 0.5 fib, and we have now found some support at the 0.618 fib. The prices did temporarily come underneath, but we shot back up within the same candle, so within the same day in this case. And ideally, we want to keep this level at least $8 in my opinion. And I know that it says 8.56 here, but we want to keep $8 because otherwise, if we don't keep $8, price keeps heading down. Then the next fib, as you can see, is around $3.39. And of course, if the price of Solana cannot hold at $8, then we're going to find a new low, in my opinion, of around this region here at $3.40. And to substantiate that as well, if I draw a fixed range volume profile, which I'll describe in a second, up to around this point here, we can see that most of the volume occurs down at these regions. So basically this fixed volume profile range tells us at what price levels most of the transactions on Solana occurs. Where are buyers and sellers transacting in Solana? And as you can see, the majority of the bars occur around this level here. So between $1 to $3 is where the majority of the liquidity is. Above $3.50-ish, we don't see a lot of liquidity, meaning that if prices were to fall below this fib here, fall below $8-ish, we won't see a lot of buyers stepping in to stop the price from falling further, because as you can see from the side here, there isn't much buyers or sellers within the region until we hit around 3 cents. So this is what the fixed volume profile range tells us. Basically, if we fall below the $8 mark, we're not going to see many buyers step in until around the $3.50 mark, according to history. So that's two reasons why if we don't hold that $8 mark, we're probably going to be heading down to at least $3.50 in my opinion. So basically everything lies in the balance right now with Solana. And so if Bitcoin heads down to the 15,000s and Solana, before that happens, continues to pump in the upwards direction, that could act as a buffer. And what we could see is Solana, when Bitcoin bottoms out, heading down back to a level like this, for example, before heading in the upwards direction towards the Bitcoin halving event. However, if Solana doesn't have enough of a buffer, if it doesn't go upwards,
or even worse yet, we see some more selling pressure from SBF selling his Solana if he still has some.
Enough, what we could see is as Bitcoin is bottoming out, we could see Solana potentially lose this level. So as Bitcoin heads down into the 15,000s, potentially even lower, I do think something like this will happen on Solana, where we approach this $8 level once again, but we couldn't find quite a reliable area where buyers are willing to buy up Solana at these single figure prices. And it really just depends where you think the Bitcoin bottom is. For me personally, I think the bottom for Bitcoin, looking at everything, is around the 15,000 mark. That is just my personal opinion. I do think the bottom of Bitcoin is probably going to hit this $15,000 mark before we see some bullish moves towards the Bitcoin halving event. But if you do believe Bitcoin is going to head lower, say 12,000, 11,000, then of course the $3 option on Solana seems more probable, by the fact that if Bitcoin heads to 11,000 or 12,000, that would be about a 30 to 40% drop in Bitcoin. And if that does occur, Solana as an altcoin will definitely drop more than Bitcoin will, and therefore a drop of 3% from where we are now at $11 will be more appropriate for Solana. So I do personally think there is a good chance of Solana already finding its bottom, because Bitcoin is very close to its bottom already. I do think 15,000 is the bottom of Bitcoin, and therefore I do think Solana has a good chance of finding its bottom already at the $8 mark. However, if you do believe Bitcoin is going to continue going down, if you believe that Bitcoin is going to head down to 13, 12, 11,000, then the chances of Solana heading to $3 are greatly increased. And so that's kind of my so that's kind of the overarching thought that I have here on Solana. Of course, on top of everything as well, we want to look for other technicals that could tell us about the direction of Solana into the future. And so the first thing I really start to notice in terms of chart patterns is something that looks a little bit like this. Now this looks like a channel where the price has been trading in Solana. It's a bearish channel going in the downwards direction, but what it could also be some sort of slanted double bottom type pattern, or a head and shoulders, or however you want to construe it. What we do particularly see is the price touch this trend line on multiple occasions, and it comes up to this neckline, which is this resistance here that's been heading in this downwards direction since the FTX crash. And so the significance of something like this, if it does turn out to be a chart pattern, is that it shows us that there could be some sort of trend reversal if we see a breakout of this trend line to the upwards direction. So if we see prices decisively break through this trend line with an increase in volume, then we could see a price target resulting from this chart pattern as the first test of support and resistance there, and that distance would take the price of Solana up to around $18. And of course, the significance of something like this as well is that it is a trend reversal pattern. And so if we see this on Solana, because it's on the 1-day chart, it should be quite substantial if we do see that breakthrough, and it could show us that Solana is ending this bearish trend that has been in since 2021. So as you can see, we've just been in a massively general downwards direction. If we do see a pump to the upside to $18, this chart pattern may be enough to show us that we could be starting to see the trend change from bearish to bullish like this. Of course, we do have a few other technicals that we need to look out for as well, and those two are the two moving averages, the 100-day and the 200-day moving average. Of course, the 100-day sits at 20, the 200-day moving average sits at 29. The 200-day moving average is very well respected here on Solana. So basically, as you can see, since its inception here, the price of Solana has respected it, so has remained above this 200-day moving average on the way up. You even see it used as a support in this region here as prices go up here on Solana. And again, when prices start heading down on Solana, you can see that the price pretty much comes to test it as a resistance before continuing to head down. So this yellow line here, this 200-day moving average, is a big one to look out for. Of course, if the price heads to $18 here on Solana, that is one piece of evidence to show us that we could be in some sort of bullish trend in Solana. But of course, we need to overcome this 200-day moving average as well as the main piece of evidence to show us that a new bullish trend here on Solana is born. So those are two more things that I'm looking out for. And if we have a look at the MACD and the RSI, we do get some more good news here for the bulls of Solana. Basically, particularly from the MACD, we see a clear bullish divergence forming on the MACD and the price. And this bullish divergence stems from the fact that we can also draw trend lines on the MACD and the RSI. In fact, you can draw a trend line on any indicator. And basically on the MACD, if we have a look at this line here, the MACD line and the signal line, we can draw a trend line connecting the lows of that line there on the MACD. And if we do the same here for the Solana price, you can see that the one on the Solana price is heading in a clear bearish direction. If you connect the lows of the Solana price, the line is going in a downwards direction, some sort of downtrend. But looking at the MACD over exactly the same time frame, the same line, the same trend line is going in an upwards direction. This is a hidden bullish divergence, meaning that downwards momentum is running out. Sellers in the market are running out, and this hidden divergence hints at the fact that there could be a change of trend in the near future. And of course, because we've been going in a bearish trend, that means we could see a more bullish one into the near future. So that's a very good sign there. Of course, it's not an immediate buy signal, but it adds evidence to the fact that we could be seeing a change of trend coming into the future here in Solana. Of course, we don't see the same thing on the RSI, so that is the bad news stemming from these indicators, but at least we see it here on the MACD. Just zooming in a little bit on the MACD and the RSI as well. On the MACD, we're starting to see green histogram bars occur again. So it looks like at the moment, the bullish and bearish momentum are pretty evenly weighed out at the moment. It looks like bulls could start to be taking over the price over the next few days here on Solana. And with the RSI, we're still in bearish territory. The value of 41 is below the halfway line at 50. So that means the bearish momentum is still in charge at the moment, but the RSI is heading in the upwards direction. So in the next few days again, we could see bullish momentum take over if price continues to go upwards on Solana. And just having a quick look on the smaller time frames here, we can see that because of that pump there, we are overbought here on the RSI, value of 77, showing us that we've got clear bullish momentum. And on the MACD, we saw a buy signal as the prices started pumping. We're seeing these massive green bars here on the MACD, so that's looking very, very good. We could potentially see a sell signal occur on the MACD when the blue and the orange line cross over there, so that's something to consider. And same with the RSI, we're starting to come out of overbought, particularly if prices head down over the next few hours as well. So potential sell signals coming up from the MACD and this RSI on the shorter time frames, but on the longer time frames, we're seeing a good bullish divergence, hinting at a possible change of trend on a longer time frame here on Solana. So that's my main analysis here on Solana. Of course, just to sum everything up, I'm actually looking for a chart pattern that looks like this. This is some sort of double bottom or head and shoulders, however you construe it. It is a trend reversal pattern, and if the prices cross this resistance here, which at the moment would sit at around $12.25, if the prices go above that point with a lot of momentum, so we see large green candles taking the prices higher up, we see the volume increase at the bottom here as well as prices head above $12.25, then we could see a breakout and a price target of $18. However, we could also get rejected from $12.25, in which case the price target over the coming weeks would be around the $8 mark here on Solana. And if you think, and of course, I do think the bottom could potentially be in if Bitcoin bottoms out at the $15,000 mark. I do think Bitcoin's going to make another move down, but I don't think it's got that much more to go. $15,000 is the ultimate bottom, in my opinion, on Bitcoin. And if Solana can cover enough ground, if it can get to $12.25 before Bitcoin makes its move down, then, you know, the Bitcoin move down to 15,000 could equate to Solana going down. And I do think Solana would be heading down to $8.50 mark, therefore making the bottom on the 29th of December 2022 on Solana. However, if Solana makes a move down to $8.50 within the next few days and Bitcoin still remains at around this region here, 16,700, then that's particularly bearish, because if Bitcoin makes a move then down to $15,000, Solana will follow from $8, possibly very likely down to this fib here at around $3 to $3.50. So that's kind of a summary of everything that I have said here on Solana. I know that's a lot of information to digest, so if you do have any questions about anything, do feel free to comment them down below. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have a very happy new year. Wishing you all a very prosperous 2023, and I will see you all in my next video.